massive shake-up is coming to Canada's immigration system. The government is cutting numbers, changing the rules, and making it harder for people to stay. We'll cover the new rules, who's affected, what this means for the economy and public services, and what might happen next. If you're living in Canada or planning to, this is something you need to hear. Let's dive in. Let's begin at number 1. A new direction for Canada's immigration system. For many years, Canada's immigration policy focused on growth. It brought in skilled workers, helped the economy grow, and supported population increases. During the pandemic, immigration levels were increased to help fill job gaps and keep the economy running. But now, many Canadians feel the system has grown too fast. Surveys show that more people believe immigration is out of control and that it's adding pressure to housing, healthcare, and other services. In response, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's government has released a new immigration plan for 2025 to 2027. This plan reduces the number of both permanent and temporary immigrants. The government says it's aiming for a more controlled and sustainable system, but many worry it could leave thousands of people who have lived, studied, and worked in Canada for years without any option to stay permanently. 2. Big cuts to permanent resident numbers. One of the most significant changes in Canada's new immigration policy is the steep reduction in the number of permanent residents the country plans to welcome. Previously, the government had set a target of bringing in 500,000 new permanent residents each year. That target has now been lowered to 395,000 for 2025, 380,000 for 2026, and 365,000 for 2027. 2027. This marks a roughly 21% decrease from the original 2025 goal. The reason for the change stems from rising housing costs, strained public services, and growing frustration among voters. Even Prime Minister Justin Trudeau acknowledged that the government failed to find the right balance after the pandemic between attracting skilled workers and managing the country's population growth. From an economic standpoint, the government believes that scaling back immigration may help relieve pressure on the housing market and allow critical services, such as healthcare, education, and public transportation, to stabilize and meet current demands. However, this shift has also created a wave of uncertainty for many temporary residents who were hoping to transition to permanent status. Now, their future in Canada is unclear. 3. Reducing the number of temporary residents. Canada is making big changes to reduce the number of temporary residents, including international students, foreign workers, and other visa holders. This group has grown quickly in recent years. The goal is to bring the temporary resident population down from 7% to 5% of the total population by the end of 2026. To do that, new arrivals will drop from 673,650 in 2025 to 516,600 in 2026, with a slight increase to 543,600 in 2027. Work permits are also being cut. The International Mobility Program will issue far fewer permits, down from 285,750 to 128,700 in 2026. The Temporary Foreign Worker Program will stay at 82,000 permits per year. International students will also be affected. The number of study permits is being capped, and stricter rules will make it harder for students to stay in Canada after graduation. Many who hoped to become permanent residents may lose that chance. Immigration Minister Mark Miller said the system needs to be sustainable and better support newcomers in becoming part of Canadian society. 4th, express entry changes. No more extra points for job offers. Canada's express entry system has long been the main route for skilled immigrants to apply for permanent residency. This system ranks candidates based on factors like education, language ability, and work experience. Up until now, having a valid job offer gave applicants a major advantage, adding 50 or even 200 extra points to their score. That benefit will be removed in spring 2025. The government believes this change is necessary to reduce fraud. Officials say that some individuals have been using fake job offers or manipulating the Labour Market Impact Assessment (LMIA) system to unfairly boost their rankings. By removing extra points for job offers, the government hopes to make the system more honest and fair. However, this change could lower the chances of many candidates, especially those already working in Canada, who relied on those extra points to qualify. Without them, some may fall short of the score needed for permanent residency and could be forced to leave the country. 5. New rules for the Temporary Foreign Worker Program. The Temporary Foreign Worker Program is undergoing a serious overhaul. While the program is meant to help fill labor shortages, it has come under fire for allowing abuse and exploitation. The government is now taking action to fix these issues. One of the main changes is shortening the length of work permits for low-wage jobs. These permits will now be valid for only 1 year instead of 2. Additionally, employers who hire through the Temporary Foreign Worker Program or the International Mobility Program must now meet tougher rules. Some industries in areas with high unemployment rates will face extra restrictions. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has openly criticized businesses for using foreign workers as cheap labor. He made it clear that these reforms are meant to protect both foreign workers and Canadian employees. However, the tighter rules could also make it harder for temporary workers to become permanent residents. If they can't change their immigration status, they may have no choice but to return to their home countries. 6. Stricter rules for international students. International students have played a vital role in Canada's immigration and economic system. They bring fresh talent and billions of dollars in tuition and local spending. But as housing shortages and pressure on public services grow, the government is tightening its rules. One of the most important changes is a new cap on study permits. In recent years, approvals have topped 500,000. Now, the government aims to reduce that number to around 437,000 in 2025. Fast-track programs like the Student Direct Stream are also being scaled back or cancelled, creating more uncertainty for applicants. New rules for post-graduation. Work permits, PGWPS, have made it harder to qualify. Students must now follow stricter enrollment and attendance rules. Even small violations, like accidentally working too many hours off campus, can result in a visa being cancelled. If flagged during a border check, a student may be denied re-entry into Canada. Immigration lawyers warn that even unintentional mistakes now carry serious consequences. Students have reported growing anxiety about how easily their future in Canada can be disrupted. These new rules not only affect individual lives, but could also harm Canada's reputation as a top destination for international education. 7. What's driving Canada's immigration reforms? Canada's new immigration changes come at a time of political pressure and economic uncertainty. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has faced criticism for allowing too much immigration after the pandemic, especially as the country deals with a housing crisis. He admitted the government didn't get the balance right. Opposition leader Pierre Poilievre blames the current policy for making things worse and suggests tying immigration numbers to how many homes are being built. Economically, the issue is tricky. Cutting immigration might ease pressure on housing and public services, but it could also hurt Canada's long-term growth. With fewer workers coming in and an aging population, labor shortages could get worse, and the economy could slow down. These reforms are meant to address public concern, but they also risk weakening the very system that helped build Canada's economy. 8. What does forcing millions to leave really mean? The phrase forcing millions to leave Canada sounds extreme, but it's not about deporting citizens or permanent residents. It mainly affects temporary residents, like international students and foreign workers, who may no longer have a way to stay in Canada for good. With fewer permanent residency spots and stricter rules, many temporary residents might not qualify to stay. Once their permits expire, they'll have to leave. In the past, it was easier to stay longer, but now those options are disappearing. Immigration officers also have more power now. They can cancel visas at the border if someone breaks the rules, even by mistake, leaving no time to appeal. Critics say this could push out people who've lived, worked, and paid taxes in Canada for years. Some believe the system is starting to treat them like temporary labor, useful for a while, but not welcome to stay. 9. What are people saying? Migrant rights groups are speaking out, calling the changes harmful and unfair, especially for people who may now be stuck in temporary status or risk becoming undocumented. Stricter rules and fewer paths to stay are causing serious stress, especially for international students and workers who've built a life in Canada. Business leaders are also raising concerns. They warn that fewer immigrants could worsen labor shortages in critical areas like healthcare, trades, and tech. Some worry Canada could become less attractive to global investors if companies can't find the workers they need. Politically, the debate is heating up. Opposition leader Pierre Poilievre blames Trudeau for damaging the immigration system, while Trudeau says these changes are needed to create a more balanced and realistic plan for the country. 10. What does this mean for the future? Canada's new immigration rules for 2025 mark a big shift in how the country plans for growth. By cutting the number of new permanent and temporary residents, the goal is to ease pressure on housing, healthcare, and schools. In theory, this could improve services for people already living in Canada. But there's a cost. Fewer immigrants could slow economic growth and hurt key industries that rely on new workers. Many temporary residents who've studied, worked, and built lives in Canada may now have to leave, creating emotional and financial stress. Politically, this is a hot topic. With an election coming, opinions are split. Some Canadians support the changes, others worry they'll hurt the country's future. One thing is clear, these changes may solve short-term problems, but they could also create long-term challenges. 11. What comes next? Canada is entering a new chapter in its immigration policy, and no one is sure exactly how it will play out. These rules aren't just policy updates, they will affect real people's lives. For temporary residents, the message is clear. Staying in Canada is going to be more difficult. Without meeting the new, higher standards, many will have to leave, even if they've built a life here. For employers, the challenge will be hiring the workers they need with fewer available newcomers. For politicians, the task is to find common ground between economic demands and public opinion. Still, there is a potential upside. Supporters of the new approach say a more controlled system could lead to better results, improved job conditions, stronger communities, and less strain on public services, if the government invests in housing, healthcare, and infrastructure to support those who stay. For many, the stakes couldn't be higher. Permanent residency and citizenship in Canada have long offered hope for a better future. With these new policies, that hope may be out of reach for many who already consider Canada their home. We hope you enjoyed this deep dive into Canada's changing immigration rules. It's clear these updates could affect millions, and the road ahead is full of uncertainty. If you found this video helpful or eye-opening, hit that like button and subscribe to stay updated on stories that really matter. We've got more breakdowns coming your way. No fluff, just facts.